Guys, come on lah, seriously. Woman,
You
beat
know,
the guys.
whenever we have this kind of men topic, yeah, the woman will be very happy to hear because they want to understand more
Yeah.
about the man.
Brother, see datang already. All the
And
women
all the
party
men will
come
be
already.
very, they also be interested, but they'll be hiding in one corner.
See, got women come already. They want to hear already. Serious
But anyway,
smoker.
before we start, just allow us to introduce ourselves. We are from the Body, Mind, Soul, and the Golden Space. We are the Men's Circle. And my name is Michael Wong. Uh, I've been practicing spirituality with the Golden Space for the past 9 years. And I'm also a practitioner at the Golden Space. And I'm very happy to be here tonight. Jin?
Hello. My name is Jean, and I am somebody, and I'm being told that I'm called Jin Tan. So yeah, I actually go to for meditation classes at the Golden Space, Malaysia in Kota Damansara. Um, my day job is a lawyer, and I'm here with Michael to talk about how to be and Chong and how to be honestly a healthier man in healthy relationships. Yeah, Chong.
Hi, I'm Chong. I'm a last minute addition to this team.
He's the
Surprise.
original member.
Got a copy today. And I'm a practitioner at Golden Space as well as, and I'm also an editor at Body Mind Soul magazine. Can you hear me? Can. So I'm very happy to be here with my brothers and with all of y'all to share our experiences as men having conversations with the opposite gender, of course. And we hope to learn something today. Even I'm hoping to learn something for myself today, so that I can have a better conversational relationship with my wife and with all and with my sisters as well. So thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Chong. So what is this men's circle all about? Right? Uh, men, we are brothers. We have the same passion about life, about to improve, the environment that we men are all about. Gone are the day when we hang out and, have a drink, get drunk, go club, and all those things, right, Chong? So this men's circle is all about, uh, providing a safe space that men can come around, gathered around to share whatever issue or whatever problem they are facing. It's not easy sometimes to even discuss your own problem with your closest relative, your partners, or even your friends. Why is that, John?
It's because I'll speak from my own experience. From young, I've been conditioned or been trained to be a boy. Yeah, to be a boy and a future man. And it's like, well, boys are not supposed to get emotional, not supposed to cry. You're supposed, rules have been set coming from a conservative Chinese family anyway. So, and we are, I'm trained basically not to express myself so much unless it's necessary, unless it's a manly thing to do. So, and I suppose, culturally, even I think for most men in across cultures, this happens because we are meant to be strong, and not to express any of our weakness. So we tend to hold back. And as for myself, I'll speak for myself now. So growing up, I tended to hold back on things a lot. Like I'm ashamed to maybe express, fear or express my emotions of being sad or whatever. So that happens, I suppose. I'm sure that most of your men would agree with me on this score.
Thank you, John. And from my own experience, you see, I come from a boys' school where men rules. They always say, men don't cry, right? All the men, all the boys, we are taught. Teachers always teach us, our tears is nothing. Nothing. Don't show your emotion. Don't cry. Otherwise, you are a yes.
Wannan, Sisi.
Yeah. Right. We were told that success is what we need to aim for. Right. Success in terms of career and our financial status as well. Right. This is what men are all taught about. We are all we are taught to be competitive in life, and we are trained in such a way from young until now. Jin, you agree?
Oh yeah. Um, I think I speak a little bit for all the guys here, but I'm sure each of you have had this question, living with this question your whole life, which is, what does it mean to be a guy? What is a man? How do I be a man, a strong man? And one of the hardest things about being a guy is to live up to that status, to be strong all the time, not to show any emotion. And you know what the worst thing also is that we actually live with so many labels, right? As guys, don't do this or else this one will kena. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. Put on your, if your face is too baby, you have to, like for me, I've got a baby face. So last time I was told that, yeah, actually, to rise up in the career, you need to have janggot, correct or not? Then it make you look older. A lot of things are, and it's very exhausting. Being a guy is actually very exhausting because you have no idea the amount of expectation, pressure. Not like, and we cannot grow up ourselves. We have to grow up with labels, correct or not? You cannot be too fat, you cannot be too thin, you cannot be too dark, you cannot be too this, you have to be rich by this time, you have to be blah, 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 blah. No time to relax and be yourself. Correct or not, brother?
Yes, totally agree with you. And also, that is when we grow up and when we come into the working, when we are working, we have so much responsibility in life to our family, to ourselves. We need to prove to everybody we are able, we are worthy. And this one carries so much pressure in life, so much stress in our life that we don't know how to express out. Unlike women, men, we don't talk about emotion. That is where the problems come from. We suppress whatever we felt inside our heart. We don't know how to say it. We don't know how to express it out. We just don't know. Most of the time, we just keep quiet. And that's where our partner, the woman, they don't understand us. They think what is going wrong with us, what is happening to us. Why we are always not expressing ourselves, why we are always quiet. Not that we don't want to, but we just don't know how. Right? This is the reality what we men are facing. Sad to say about that, but this is the truth. I'm sure a lot of men here would agree with us. Every day, we've been carrying this responsibility in life. That sometimes we don't know how to enjoy life itself. And that is why we form this men circle, we form this men support group in a golden space so that we can create more awareness to tell more men out there that there is a new way, there is a new method out that can help us to solve some of the problems that we face. Not all, but we try as much as possible. We had men gathered around in our support group, to share all the issues. Some of the issue that is very common, right? Brother Chong, you've been with us for like 6 months in those support group. What is a common issue that they normally share?
Surprisingly, now we started off the men's circle thinking that men would be interested in things like career, our career, um, and of course our relationships, and our happiness. And what we found out during all these interactions with other men is that most of them, they have issues with relationship and with their own inner happiness. So that actually struck us as quite surprising. And nobody actually talked about career. That was super surprising to us. And here we are now, trying to adjust our program so that we can fit the needs of the men out there, or our brothers out there, so that we can have a platform to share in the same frequency, really. And what Jean and Michael has described just now is principally, that is the trouble, that is the problem with the communication between the genders, because we actually speak in different languages. Men speak in our men language, and women actually speak in
Brother
women's
Chong, maybe you
language.
want to elaborate on what is man language?
Yeah,
Man language is
now
like
that's
this.
yeah.
Quiet.
Run away from fights.
Yeah, nodding our heads, shaking our
Avoid
heads,
conflicts.
or just keep quiet. Yeah, and actually, it's actually communication. No communication is also communication. I think we all know that, right? Silence is also communication. But I would suppose. I mean, I'm married, right, and I have a wife, and when we have disagreements, we both communicate differently. She'll of course be the bigger talker than me, or it can be the other way around. She'll give me the silent treatment, and she won't talk at all, and I'll be the one like trying to fix things. Because for me, as a guy, I find my role as solving problems. So I try to solve it the logical way. Yeah. So what's the problem? Yeah, we solve it. Yeah, logically. But it doesn't get through. It doesn't get through because I'm not speaking in a frequency. I feel. I mean, now that I realize that I'm not speaking in a frequency at all because the frequency is the frequency of emotion, and I wasn't supplying that. I wasn't tuning into that. Well, and that's my experience. So I don't know about Michael and,
Yeah.
and
Thank you,
and Jean
Brother
and the
Chong.
rest of the guys.
As what Brother Chong said, uh, in our get together with the men groups, most of the time the issue being brought up is always about relationship. And we also did a survey that we find that in counseling and in the counseling, when a couple had the counseling, most of the time the first issue that come out is always about communication. Communication, how they communicate. There's a breakdown in communication. That is why in today's topic, we want to talk about relationship conversation, or you can even say relationship communication. You know what is relationship communication or relationship conversation? Jean?
As a guy, right, one of the biggest gifts and challenges in the world is to fall in love with a woman. See, did he got reaction already? One of the biggest, I'm going to repeat myself. One of the biggest gifts and challenges for a man is to fall in love with a woman. You cannot live without them. You cannot live with them, and you don't know how to live with them. You don't know whether you said it right. She got PMS. Were you tired? Did you do it right? How many times did she do it? How many times did you do it? The word, did you remember? Did you not remember? Ah, your goodness. Lifelong evolution.
I'll just give you another example. Yeah. For example, you're working whole day, right? You come back from the house, your wife asks you, "How is your day, darling? How is your day?" What would a man normally answer? Good. Okay lah. Nothing great happening.
I tired, very
Tired.
tired, tired.
But if the other way around, the husband asks the wife who's working, "How is the day, darling?" Whew, I tell you, the wife will tell, my day start from 9 o'clock when I had a coffee, I buy coffee, continue what happened from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. In between 12 to 1, all the small little details, it's like everything recorded. They give you the whole record on what happened in the whole day. So that shows you the difference between how men and how women communicate or how they converse in life. But you see, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's talk from the man points of view. We are we are programmed from young, as we said in the beginning, that we have been taught not to express ourselves, not to learn, not to show our emotion. That is why most of the time we only talk when we need to talk. We only talk about issues. We only talk about how to solve a problem. But when you tell a man you have this problem, water is leaking in the house, the sink is, you have problems with the bathroom, the door jam, or whatever, the man will go straight to the point and they give you all the solution. That is men are known for. We are problem solver. If you have nothing to talk about, they'll just keep quiet. You agree? But but then again, the woman don't understand us. That is where the problem arises. The woman think that the more we don't talk, they have their own. Maybe we have some problem with them, right? Most of the women they think like that. If the men don't talk with them, they thought that they have the problems with them. But I want to say it's not that. It's not true. It's not true, right? We have our, we are brought up, I don't say we are brought up, we are maybe programmed, even in school, during our childhood, even when we are working, we are with friends, we are like that. None of us, when we are at friend, we talk about what is happening in the household. We don't talk about we help the wife to sweep the floor. We don't talk with our friends. We help to iron the shirt, wash the dishes,
which we do, right?
which we do. It's not macho enough, Those kind of conversation is not man enough. That is the problem. That is the social programming of men. You know what we talk with our male friend, Chong? What we normally talk? He'll give you an example.
In my case, we talk about the hard things, like hiking, for example, going, and the bicycling. I mean, for my with my friends anyway of my age group, and of course, sports and all that, and even fights, wars. You know what's happening in Ukraine, politics. So it's all the hard stuff, the big things, the tide, you know, the big world things, which is but hardly, of course, we don't talk about how we feel. We don't talk about, you know how we love our wives, and we don't talk about, these things that are considered girlish. Ever since, we are young, we've been told that these things, don't talk about. So it becomes a very one-dimensional kind of conversation. There is no balance. There's no balance. And what is needed is actually balance. It's just like what Michael said about how women talk and how women talk. Women, we just, like summarize the thing, without filling in the details. It's all the highlights. We tend to talk in highlights, while women like to talk in details. So, and this is the one of the issues with having a different frequency, like what I said, there's no conversational match. Now, I'm not saying that we must cater to the women, that we must entertain their needs. What I'm saying, what we are suggesting is perhaps we come to a meeting point somehow and understand each other's mode of conversation, so that we can understand each other better. And along the way, to have more tolerance and patience in terms of speaking with our partners, perhaps. Yeah.
I want to share something I learned a long time ago. There is a wisdom, an Argentinian wisdom. A true man is a warrior. He's a good fighter. He's a good lover. He's a good dancer. And he's a good cook. A true man. That's very high standard. How many of us here are good dancers, good cooks, and everything? But I understand why. Honestly, I do. Because I also learned there's another wisdom that says that men, their element is fire. Women's element is water. So for those of you in relationships, you understand lah what I mean by water and fire lah. We're always on the go, 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 very fast to heat up. Women take time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But fire means water means sure, asap, right? You need to learn how to cook the water, right? That's the idea. Cook the water so you can both consume it. But here's the thing that a lot of us guys have forgotten. When you want to have a relationship, ask yourself what type of relationship you want to have. A lot of us very disillusioned and honestly talk nonsense. We say we want a hot girl, we want this whatever lah, but then we don't put in the effort. Sometimes for women, and I've realized I've learned this, it's never about the big shows. It's about the small little things. For us guys, we think that, oh, we get through to a girl or we show love, it has to be the big display, proposal, all this thing. No, it's the small everyday things. It's about showing up. It's about cooking for her. when she's tired or when you're tired. It's the small things, believe it or not. It's about taking her to dance. It's about talking nice to her. And you know what is the funny thing? In the end, you enjoy anyway, but we don't put in the effort. They don't feel us. But actually, we are fire. We are supposed to be easy to for them to feel us, but we don't put in the work.
That is why today's topic is so relevant. It's about communication. It's about conversation. Because as Jean said, we men tends to do a lot of physical things. We want to be seen doing something, shown doing something, but we don't express ourselves, you know. So that's why today this topic is very, very relevant to all the men out there who is listening in this session that we want to encourage you, to slowly take a baby step to start expressing yourself, especially your feeling, especially your emotions to your partners or even to your family members. You can start by, if you're not happy, just tell them why you are not happy. Don't just come back, slam the door, and go to bed, show your long face and all those things. You know, S- Start by telling them why you are unhappy in this particular moment, so that your partner will be able to understand you. Even they might not be able to help you, it's okay. But at least give them, they will be able to give you the space and the time for you to overcome your own problem, your own issue. So they start to understand you. They won't nag you maybe after that. But rather than you come back, they don't know anything, you keep quiet, right? You shut down, they don't know, they keep asking, and it create a lot of tension in the family. Right?
I've always wondered why relationships break down, after marriage or even after some years in a relationship, even without a marriage. And well, and I suppose from from observation, not from any survey, it would be like relationships break down because we forget why we love the person. And from my, again, I'm speaking from personal experience. It's like when I see the person in front of me and I have a disagreement with her, and I get I get upset, I get heated up, the fire comes out, and I ask myself, why is it that I look at her differently? Why why is the feeling different from when I first met her? And I reflect on that and I think about, why I got married in the first place to this person. And it helps me to remind me that, you know, there's 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 a there's this side of her which I've forgotten. And what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing her through my eyes that have kind of has become a bit tired, perhaps, a bit distracted, whatever. But we must we you know I do my best to try and get back to the place or the time when I love this person so much to marry her. And it's important. I feel that's important because it reminds her of why we are doing this, and it helps me in my expression in terms of turning my feelings around again and trying to work something out to sort of work out whatever problems or whatever issues we have at the time. So that's why to me, in a relationship, uh, patience is very important, and an observance of our own feelings. And this is why, and the problem, and one of the issues with us guys, again, no, I'm speaking from my experience as a guy, is we deny ourselves of recognizing and acknowledging our feelings. We put it aside, or we suppress it. We put it aside, and we just want to, like, forge ahead like a tank, just move ahead and really, roll over everything without considering sometimes the consequences. So I mean, if for us, who wants to have good relationships, I feel that that is very important, to have that self-awareness or the self-observation, And from my experience, because I want to say this, because I want to lead to something I think it's very useful for us to have that self observation, which is actually mindfulness, and the method of meditation and mindfulness. Uh, I mean,
Thank you, Chong. So
I
then,
want to interrupt and ask a question. And I'm asking like from afar to all the three guys up there on stage who has been sharing with us so many, insightful ways of how men react and how men behave. But it sounds too good to be true, how you guys have changed and learned. But I'm just going to ask you a question. Before and after, the before and after, I'm going to direct this to Michael. Yeah, Michael, you are happily married, yeah, with kids as well. So before you
happily married, not hardly married.
happily married, yes, and before you have this awareness and mindfulness about relationship conversation or relationship communication, a healthy relationship, how will you behave, or how did you behave when you want to ask a favor from your wife before?
Before,
Yes, I'm curious.
before I would just say, for example, let's say I need her to pick up something for me. I'll just say, dear, just go and pick up something from. Can you go and pick up something for me? I'm a bit busy now.
So you do kind of like
I
sweet.
I kind of order her around.
Yeah, but you did sweeten it with just a deer, but without the
Yeah,
heart
yeah.
inside the
But
deer. Lah.
yes, dear is like trying to get her attention.
Okay.
Then the thing is like, can you go and pick up the thing? That
The
is like ordering her to do something. And by saying I'm busy, I'm telling her, my job is more important. I'm more important.
the can you is actually not a question, it's just a full stop. Is that correct?
Right.
Then how about right now after you go through your own journey and understand the importance of having a healthy conversation in a relationship? So how did you ask this favor again?
Now I just go and pick up my own stuff.
Not even asking. Are you sure? I heard a loud laughter from the crowd on
I'm
the
just
floor.
joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Now I will still call her dear,
Okay.
and I will explain to her why I'm busy at this particular moment. You know what I'm doing, what I have to do that causes me that I can't be able to go and pick up my stuff.
Okay, you talk too much. You're gonna demonstrate a little bit how you actually do it right now.
I say,
Be an
dear,
example.
dear, I'm really, really busy with my office stuff and with all this email that is running around here. Can you please go down and take this thing for me? Please take this delivery for me.
So what is the impact and how is it working for you right now?
She will still give me that look. She will still give me that look, but she's more willing than before.
Ah, so the willingness is there. Okay, so
Right,
to all
right.
the guys who's now right now listening to this sharing, it's time to tune in and truly lend your ears to the stage, because I'm going to ask more questions to all the guys here, because I feel you shared so much of the techniques and also the skills, which is helpful, and you did explain to all the women in the house, why men behave in a certain way, why they did not share, and you all the guys on the stage, all the handsome men on the stage make a very clear point that oftentimes it has nothing to do with the woman. It's just the men are not used to express themselves. So I'm going to direct the second question to Jean on the stage. Jean,
Yes.
so before and after, okay, we're going to play this game before and after. So before you become more aware of a healthy relationship, of a healthy conversation. So if your loved one call you, but you are really stressed, or maybe you're in the midst of something, okay? How would you respond before?
This is a situation that still happens.
Okay, that's great.
So, I mean, to be fair, before I learned about being self-aware, if let's just say my loved one was to ask me for anything lah, and I'm too stressed, my mind not here lah, I'm actually just checked out, honestly. So I can't say how I'll respond. I just know I'll be checked out and 忙 lah. So that means like I'll be not happy lah.
Frustrated.
frustrated,
Uh-huh.
stressed, I recall that I would project. So, like for example, like I had an argument with my other half,
Hmm.
and very recently, and my response to her was very rude and dismissive, and she
Hmm.
got very sad over it because I didn't catch myself. I just was like, hey, we're already like supposed to do this, and I just want to get it done.
So how about right now? After having more awareness, yes, we do still make mistakes, I
Yeah.
believe. But right now, if let's say you still respond the same way like how you used to do, but what do you do after?
What I tend to practice,
Hmm.
I stand corrected because I'm being watched here by somebody. So I have to be very truthful
And honest.
and honest.
Yes. The whole idea of this
Yeah,
man talk is also giving the space of man
yeah,
to express yourself authentically as
yeah.
well.
I realize no matter, oh, this is just me lah. I realize no matter how stressed, how tired, how what, basically whatever your mind state of mind is at that time, which would be valid because you're so tired and so stressed, it's not an excuse to misbehave.
Hmm.
It's not an excuse to misbehave with someone who is loving you. And what they are going through when they ask you whatever they're asking you, it's a separate conversation, it's a separate story. But I realize the difference now is that I am aware that no matter what, I should never use my tiredness or my stress as an excuse to misbehave with my woman because it's not right because she doesn't deserve it and I don't deserve to be that man for her. So I tell myself that okay, if I'm stressed or whatever, honestly, it's sometimes not easy lah. But I tell myself to take a breath, or if she tells me all that, I realize, oops, I shouldn't have reacted so fast. I should have just slowed down and just listen and try and be aware of what she wants from me, and then only respond.
Okay.
Sometimes, even though it's like half a minute or 2 seconds, it actually makes a difference.
So that's another good trip to good tips to give. Thank you, Jean. Another question to Chong, who is wise. We always call him the wise man. So,
VICE,
huh?
VICE.
No, WISE. Okay. So, Chong, this is a
That's
difficult question. So, before and after the game, before and after as well. Like the situation is, if your loved ones say something that makes you upset, angry, or agitated, I think let's focus on angry and agitated. So if your loved one says something that makes you angry and agitated, before this, how would you respond?
I get angry and agitated, and respond accordingly.
So according to your exact emotions, and can I assume that you would just lash it out?
As all, I would say the unmindful me, yes.
Okay.
The one before premeditation.
All right. So now, with the help of a meditation that you practice and you are preaching to a lot of us here, what is the difference? I'm sure you still get angry and agitated. Don't tell me you don't have these emotions anymore.
Yeah, definitely I do.
Okay.
Because this is actually, I'm, just now Jin said something about fire, and my nature is actually fire. In terms of my energy makeup. So my core nature is fire. My core energy is fire, and I have a lot of that. And it's not only in my personal relationships, like with my wife. It's even in my relationships in general, even with my sisters or my parents and all that. But that's beside the point. To answer your question, yes, it still happens, but now I do it with more awareness, as to use the word awareness, with more mindfulness, in the sense of, before I actually respond, I watch myself. I watch my emotion building up. And as I watch it, the beautiful thing is, by watching it, it actually becomes less fierce, and it can actually can dissipate if I give it time. And this time is very useful because it is a time of silence. And in this silence, it's when we don't there's no reaction. There's no reaction in the silence. No immediate reaction. Now a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, a lot of quarrels start because it's like dancing. I make a move, you make a move. I make a move, you make a move. So it's an action and response situation. And so if we give time, instead of doing a tango, maybe you do a slow dance. Yeah, you take our time, to respond, and in between the time to respond, you watch ourselves. It will help us realize that, hey, maybe this is not going to a good place. And really, it's not going to a good place because I realized through all this watching and a rising of my emotions, I also see the consequences, the possible consequences of the long-term consequences of that emotion, that unnecessary emotion. And it's just not worth it because then, after, if we are going to go in a quarrel, I get angry with her and she gets angry with me, we'll not be talking, and it will affect me in my office because I'll be thinking about this, that I did wrong. I felt, I don't know, I may feel guilty, for example.
Mm,
And so it's really very unhealthy.
mm.
So it is like saying, I used to smoke, like I said, but I've stopped smoking. It's like, taking a cigarette and say, shall I do this? Shall I do this? Shall I do this? And the answer is obviously no. For my health anyway, I would say no. And in this case, no, for my emotional health anyway, I would say no. Not only for my emotional health, for her emotional health, and for our joint emotional health as partners in a relationship. So it is, if you look at the cost benefit, it's not worth it. I mean, if I'm to look at the cost benefit, since it is in reference to my experience. So no, no, definitely on the balance on the P&L, it's
Yeah.
it's it's a it's a loss.
Okay.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Chong. And the last situation that I have in on my hand, I'm gonna direct it back to Michael. So this is like a summary of all the situation above. Okay. So when you realized you had done wrong or you have done something wrong and your loved one is very sad. So before, how would you respond to this situation? When you realize you have done something wrong and it upset your loved one. So before this, how do you respond?
I would just keep quiet. That is what
Wow.
that is what men normally do. We just avoid the situation by keeping quiet, by like Brother Chong yesterday said in no, my another brother YK said in yesterday's TGF light off. Be creative in avoiding the situation.
And he did in the live talk saying that men are very creative
Yeah, we are very creative.
when
When
it's
we are
about
not busy, we
avoiding.
say we are super busy. When the boss is not calling, we say the boss is calling all the time.
So in a way, it's kind of like running away
Yes,
from the
yes.
situation. Is
It's
that
like
correct?
running, definitely running away from it. Hope that time will heal itself. Time will heal itself. Hope that the situation will heal itself.
Hmm.
Hope that she will heal herself.
That she will let it go somehow.
Yes.
Okay, so how about right now? How would you do it differently right now?
What is the question again?
If- what a creative way of running away. And I'm being a smart lady over here as the MC. When you realize you have done something wrong and it upset your loved one and your loved one is really sad. So how would you do it differently right now?
Yeah, I think now with all these things that is going through, with all this awareness that I've encountered, that I've gone through, I would not run away. First of all, I would not run away from the situation anymore. Okay, I would address the situation by not only looking at the problem itself, but by also explaining my own feeling, my own emotion, what is troubling me, why I feel that way in the beginning, why I do certain things, and try to explain to her how I feel emotionally and to let her understand what am I going through, why I do that, right? Even what I'm doing might not be the right choice, but it is important for me to let her know how I feel.
Mm,
And then I hope that she will also understand from my point of view, whether I'm right or wrong, it doesn't matter anymore.
mm,
What is important now is to let her know how I feel and try to find a solution.
And that is what we are trying to say over here, a healthy relationship, communications, and conversations. It all starts with both parties, I believe. And thank you so much for playing this before and after games with me. It's a very impromptu kind of thing. But at the same time, I would like to open questions to the floor. If any one of you have any questions, any burning questions that you want to just get some tips from the three men over here, please feel free to ask your question and ask it right away. Any questions, and they are ready to take it. If no, if no, yes,
Can I say something about that question earlier?
yes.
I want to share something that I go through about
Mm-hmm.
that question. It's actually a very good question. Um, so that question, right? What does a man do? What as a man in a relationship do? You know, when he's made his loved one sad, right? Doesn't matter the loved one's a wife, a girlfriend, doesn't matter lah. Okay.
Yes.
I want to share something that I've learned lah. I've learned because suddenly when you ask that question, I suddenly thought about all the times I fight with my loved one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And one of the things that I believe it or not, now I'm thinking of is the sweet moments during the fight or when we're coming out of the fight, where we start to really talk about how we feel about each other and the things I would say to her. I always say things like, do you know how beautiful you are? Or I would say things like, doesn't matter what anyone tells you, there's a reason. If you say bad things about yourself, you're saying bad things about me. Or I was keep reminding her, like, it's be so sweet suddenly. It's like this, I don't know where those words will come out one somehow, to be frank with you. But it will be those little moments that suddenly make you realize that for some reason, some of these fights are really good. You know, they have a positive edge to it. Like, because they keep showing you some of these fights are not all fights show you this, but some of these fights, when you make them sad, they keep showing the same thing, which is, at least in my experience, which is how much she loves me and how lucky I am that someone is willing to be so sad because of how I affect her. There's somebody out there who actually gets really sad over how I treat her. And that makes me remind me, this is why I want to say sweet things to her,
Mm.
you know? And it's part of the romance game. Fights actually are needed for romance, to be fair. Not. When I say fights, I mean a certain level of kind of fight lah. Not the kind of fight that you keep walking out and slap each other lah, you know? But we're talking about the fights where because you made them sad, because it could be the way you say it, it could be you weren't there, you didn't show up. But these fights make you show up. And for a guy, what I've learned with my woman is when I start to remind myself just how lucky I am to even have a fight with her, it actually becomes something I learn about myself. Every fight has taught me and her something more about how we love each other. And the funny thing is that one of the things that we don't do very well is we're not so detail orientated as a guy. But women, they pick up on all these things and actually they teach guys to be far more detail orientated than they can be on their own. So I really always look at my other half and I always tell her like, I'm so lucky that I can even still fight with you. You know, that even though it's obviously very tiring and very frustrating and you want to pull your hair out, I'm already losing hair. But I'm so lucky I can still fight with her. And then in the end, the best part of every fight, especially after she embraces you back, is you get to hug her, she get to tell you how much she loves you, and you get to hold her.
Yeah. Like what we discussed yesterday during the TGF live talk. Yesterday we're talking about embracing conflict. Same like conflict is also like argument. When there is no conflict, we mean that when there's no conflict, there is no growth in the relationship, right? So confronting the conflict is very important in a relationship. So for all the men out there, don't run away. You know, be brave enough. Be brave enough to address it, to address whatever you are feeling, to tell to the person you love. You know, that will save a lot of time and trouble.
All right. And we are about to end this session, the man talk, relationship communication. So if there is any question, it's your last chance to ask your question. If not, I'm going to thank the guys on the stage, for sharing very openly and very honestly and giving us different examples through their own personal journey. Of course, tomorrow, Michael will be on stage again, but tomorrow is slightly different because joining with him will be Saida, that we are going to discuss and discover why men the way they are. So before we end it, I'm going to give some spotlight to Chong. Do you have any last takeaway to share with your fellow men, or any wisdom or any guidance or any tips from your own personal experience?
I wouldn't say it's guidance or tips, or anything wise, but it's just the sharing of experience. You know, I would say that give your relationship a chance. Remember why you had why you had the relationship in the first place, and if the love is still there, enjoy it. Yeah, enjoy it. Stay with it. Be patient with it, and continue to be in love with it, because really, there's nothing like what Jean says, and we all agree here that there is nothing on this earth like the word love of a woman. And but at the same time, conflicts happen for a reason, and it's like what Jean and we shared yesterday in our TGIF Men's Circle talk. It is for our growth. It is for our realization. So and a partnership, in just like any partnership, it's a growth process, and we must invest in that process with our patience, our time, and our love. So this is what I learned throughout in my journey of having a partnership, a relationship for the matter. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to Jean, Michael, and Chong being on stage, sharing with us from their heart of their personal stories, their personal experience on men talk, relationship communication. Another round of applause to all three of them. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Coming
everyone.
up next of the program, we are going to have and announce the three lucky winners, lucky draw winners, that will be walking away from this. Thank you to everyone over here.